I'm sorry.
No problem. Diana, you were called. Can you stay present?
Councilor Barge. So,
Just a moment. We're having technical difficulties. We have to let Zoom in. It's an OPM law.
is that better?
Diana?
I'm here. Sorry, I can't figure out how to use Zoom.
Okay. We recognize your voice. Okay.
You can hear us though?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
She's Diana, you're present.
Councilor Harvey.
I am present.
Thank you, Denise. Next is announcements and additions. I'm going to go ahead and substitute in Denise on item 7. There will not be an ad hoc skate park 4th of July committee report as they did not have a meeting last month, and I failed to tell you that, sorry. But I'm going to go ahead and sub in a presentation from Nikki Wagner, Council President, and could you just list as such? That one's a good way.
I have one as well.
Okay.
We'd like to remove the minutes of the July 7th, 2022 regular session from the consent calendar. They'll be made available for the council at next month's meeting.
Council, you okay with that? I am.
Yes.
For the regular session, July 7th?
Yes.
That's fine. So the consensus is yes, you can do that. Do you need a motion or?
No.
Okay. Okay. If there's no more, is there any other announcements or additions from anybody on council? Not seeing Diana with any or hearing any here, we'll go ahead and move on. It's public comment time. Are you sure, John? Okay. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person with an optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address council, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself for the record, where you'll state your name and address. I'm going to go ahead tonight, start because I have a email entry that was asked that is handed to me when I walked in. I believe it's from Melanie Blair, 250 Ivy, East Ivy, Jervis, Oregon. And it says, good evening, council. I would like to address a few items that have been an issue for quite some time. First issue is that parking on Ivy. There are several homes that own 5 or 6 vehicles that are consistently parking on the street. There is never anywhere to park for residents, and it has caused such an issue that people are parked more than they block away. I have attached pictures of the vehicle that has not been moved in months. The resident moves it just far enough that the city tags it. Looks like it has been moved. One car has so much dust on it, you can clearly tell it has not been driven in a while. This is an issue for many residents. We need to figure out a solution that would work for everyone. It was suggested that we get parking permits from the city for parking and for a reasonable fee. This would be a great solution. In some homes like mine, we have 4 adults who drive. We use our driveway, but also have to use street parking as well, which isn't feasible since there is never any parking available. I work swing shift, and when I get home at midnight, I never have a place to park. Parking my $30,000 vehicle a block away is unacceptable, as there have been break-ins and such. I have had to park in my yard and risk a ticket. I've had to park in my yard and risk a ticket. Something has to be done. The second issue is speeding on Ivy. People treated this road like a raceway. The speed limit is marked 20, yet 80% of the people go well over the speed limit. When they are told to slow down, they either speed up or yell obscenities. The speeding is so bad, many cats have been hit. Just last week, there was a stray hit in front of my house, and she did include photos. When does it stop? It is going to take an actual child being hit before we take action. Citing people has not helped. PD has tried. Speed bumps would be amazing, being Black Walnut and First Street. The last issue goes to the second. Marion County won't do anything since it's a city issue. It's their solution we came up with is rehome all stray cats. I have at least 2 mamas who come in to my carport and have babies every few months. The last set were so deformed from inbreeding, they just didn't survive. These are the legal. There are at least 2 dozen strays. I'm willing and able to help catch if we have a solution for rehoming or lease fix or release. At least the point they won't be able to continue to breed. I am hoping to help and volunteering my time to do whatever we can to help address the issue. And there are pictures. I'd like to start on this one. I've been through the area here lately, and I've been seeing a lot of things that aren't okay, I don't think. Chief, do we have an ordinance about living in trailers in our driveways for lengths of time?
Yeah.
Okay, so we should probably be on the lookout for that. I won't name any addresses, but that's something that would help with the parking issue of our driveways are full. As far as parking, it's so bad over there. And that brings me to another thing I'd like to ask about. We had a person come in here and ask in September, late September, early October, about traveling the other side of her home so she could get her vehicle off the street. Now, our ordinances, we've been waiting on that. Have you heard back on that one, Susie? For Tess Diaz, for Miss Diaz, who came in and wanted.
Oh, yeah, that's been quite a while ago.
Okay, but did we get an answer?
Yes, I answered her.
Okay, and did it come before council? I thought we were going to hear it and maybe rule on it. No?
Yeah, those requests, there's a staff procedure and they don't come before council.
Okay, I'll check back with her then because she just called again. Thank you. And does anybody else have anything to say? Oh, the cats, you know what? I feel bad. There's a lady that used to come to the school to take feral cats and have them fixed and bring them back. I will reach out and see if I can get a hold of her for you, Miss Blair.
So,
Yeah.
we have significant issues with feral cats over by my house where there's litter after litter after litter, and we rescued a cat that ended up dying because it had been attacked by either other cat. So we have a couple of residents that don't manage their animals at all. And we have 6 to 12 cats in that part of town on regular. Now it's come out to be passed, so they don't necessarily have them injured by vehicles, but it's still problematic for the rest of the neighborhood. So it's finding, it was my idea that maybe we could find somebody that could do that, or maybe bring a vet in to do free spaying here, like the school, like we do sometimes, because there are probably several pockets in the neighborhood that could do that. And they offer free spaying. The vans come around and take care of that. So there might be an opportunity for those that would take advantage of it to go ahead and do that for free.
Yes, I agree, Pam. And I do know Louise, so I will reach out to her. I can't promise anything. Go ahead, Nick.
So also, we have the ring system, and we have these 2 strays, that
Mhm.
usually, that's like between 1 and 4, they
Everything.
feel like it's their
Everything.
play yard.
Mhm.
But I know I read a thing today with the Salem Humane Society.
Mhm.
They stated that they're at capacity, so they are really hurting for foster homes, and this is cats and dogs.
Mm.
So I wonder if we might be able to contact them and see if, it would be a way of helping to limit the population in Ballpark Grove itself. And, kind of do our part to keep the kitties safe.
Mhm.
Because I've taken one to the hospital that was severely
Yeah, this
run
is
over,
another
and then the people threw it into a person's yard. So it happens.
So just to summarize, how about you try, Pam? You try, Council President Reagan, and I'll try, and we'll see what we can come up
See if
with.
we can find somebody that,
I see.
especially maybe
Okay.
somebody that can come and do a free clinic and spay for free.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, look at any resource you can find and we'll bring it back. Thank you.
I'd like to speak.
Come on up. Can you state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Giselle Maelstrom and my address is 960 Winfield Street Northeast, Jervis, Oregon. 97026, I think. I forget all the time. Touching on the cats, I donate a lot to the Feral Cat Association, so I will see if they are willing to do anything for our community.
Well, thank you.
And then also, I wanted to ask for an ADA accommodation and perhaps speak in between 3 to 5 minutes, if that's allowed.
Yeah, go ahead. That's
No objection?
I'm the presiding, so yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Give me just a second here.
I do this when time's up, okay? And I'll do that at 5 minutes.
Let's say that again.
I'll hit this when time's up.
Thank you very much. I'll try to go as fast as I can. Again, my name is Rochelle. Good evening to my new community of Jervis. My name is Rochelle Maelstrom. I also go by Grace, Gigi, or G, and any of you can take your pick. I live in the new Ivy Woods community. Most everyone here has been and shown to be stellar long life friends and neighbors with welcoming waves, showers of support, and a large communicative crowd we have established quickly. Can you believe my neighbor made me the most spectacular Easter box? Who knew an adult woman needed this? Simply adorable. I will quickly inform you of some less than ideal situations that have occurred recently. First, in March of 2022, I became a victim of a man named Douglas Wesley Lampier. Douglas stalked and harassed me and my community. However, my community has shown me kindness and checked on my mental and emotional well-being. They too could feel the tension, and some felt the same way by his illegal actions. There is currently a protective order against this creep. Police Officer Camacho, West, and the young lady did what they could and also showed compassion and dedication to serve. However, at times, there was late response and insufficient tactics from some law enforcement officials. And second, I'll direct myself to Chief Chase. I ask that you walk with me through my new community and neighborhood to establish confidence and leadership. I was informed via email that I could organize an event, a block party. I'm not a party planner by profession or choice. I'm not a stay-at-home mom and have very limited free time. My daughter Sarah is now 21, and that's where most of my free time goes. I care medically, emotionally, financially, and personally for elder and disabled and hospice clients that require that I be available within 1 hour of call. I have over 40 clients. I should not have to walk a street to have a paid official be present, nor should he ask for a Sweet 16 party to attend. I don't care about your less than upstanding past, Chief, and before you say I can come in and talk to you, I have multiple times, and after living here 7 months, just met you 2 days ago at the National Night Out event. At this event, you attempted to falsely claim that I made fun of your name in an email by saying to please cut to the chase. Does that seem professional or fair to you? Third, on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022 at approximately 04:03 hours, 4 a.m. in the morning, I was awakened by a homeless woman at my front door yelling and crying. She was threatening to kill someone named Desiree. I have no clue who that is. My husband and I called 911 and hid in our bedroom, never making eye contact or direct contact with a stranger. I called again after 20 minutes and they could not provide me with an ETA. Finally, at 7:30 in the morning, I received a call apologizing for no officer on duty. This is unacceptable. Tony, my tenant, who is over 6 feet tall, also called non-emergency and was alarmed about what had occurred and severe lack of incompetence and negligent response. There is currently an investigation with the department to see who failed at the 911 call center. At around 5:06 in the morning, it appeared on my camera that Chief Chase here was around my neighborhood in an unmarked vehicle, drove by my house, but made no contact with me. Other neighbors reported seeing her before and placed calls to police. On 7/19, from 7:30 in the morning to 8:19 in the morning, the chief's vehicle also remained near my property. I was alarmed and called non-emergency to see what's going on. I want to alert you all that we are just sitting ducks to criminals. We have no coverage during after our hours, nor frankly at 2 p.m. or really ever. I expect and demand no retaliation. Last I checked, this is America. I have you all as my witnesses if there is any retaliation against me for standing up for this right, and I ask that you do the same. I was also denied a disability parking area near my home. I was discriminated, and it's not your choice to decide if I'm disabled enough. It is my medical doctor who does. So follow the federal law. I want to be an asset to Jervis and be a resource. I am bilingual in Spanish and English and can reach my community properly and effectively. My background is in private security, surveillance, safety precautions, medical assistance, first response, CPR, and AED, Toyota and Ford sales, and honestly can help in any way I can. To date, I have saved a couple lives and will continue to do so with or without help. I can offer home sale purchase advice, financial planning, investing knowledge, how to survive domestic violence, teen pregnancy, gardening advice, and frankly, if I don't know, perhaps someone in my church might, or even my mother-in-law. I am resourceful and love to help. I have enough experience.
I have
I
to,
have 3 sentences, if I may.
go ahead.
I have I am resourceful and love to help people. I have enough life experience through trial and error. If you see me, don't be shy to say hello. I want to thank my community for being here tonight and letting me express my concerns.
Griselle, I'll disclose that, Griselle called me. She was given my phone number by staff. And she called me one day and asked that I come over to look at the situation with the gentleman next door. I was leery because I myself have been harassed in the community a little bit. And I'm thinking, who is this lady? So anyway, I stealthily went in and I started knocking and talking. And I did not go directly to her home, but I came in and neighbors started alerting me of this man and what he had been doing to Griselle, her husband Michael, and the neighborhood. So we sat down and she showed me video. She showed me a lot of evidence that why she got this order. And what I told her is, I will let my police officers do their job. I don't really feel I need to intervene at this point, but if you don't feel resolved, please come in. So I see that you've done that.
Yes.
You've also invited me to a neighborhood party next, the 12th.
The 12th, everyone's invited at Friday at 5 o'clock. I've asked the chief and the mayor to attend, so if they have time.
I am planning on attending. I'll have some strawberry shortcake for your party to
Burgers, hot dogs, and
contribute.
drinks to get to know my neighborhood, and it's all
Okay.
provided by me.
And I have walked and talked in the neighborhood, introduced myself and met many of them, but I look forward to the Homes at Work home because I think we should welcome people. I want that Mayberry feel. So thanks for coming in. Anybody else?
I'm gonna say I wish I could be there. I do work swing shift. I work with developmentally disabled youth and adults, so I work at night. But maybe another time we can sit down, go for coffee or something.
Anytime, and I actually met you at the National Night
You
Out,
did?
so I appreciate
You
it.
did. I would love
And your
to meet you
husband
guys.
as well, so thank you.
Anybody else?
I will make every effort that I can possibly do to attend.
Okay, very well.
I'm happy to do so.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have public comment tonight? Okay, not hearing anybody. Is there anybody on Zoom? Don't want to miss anybody.
Put your hand up.
Okay, not hearing anyone. We are going to move on. We have a pretty good agenda. Oh, go ahead,
I have a
John.
question. I see a lot of other names. I see the ones that are highlighted, like Cynthia and Danny and those. Now there's smaller ones. I can't see who those are. Are those people that are on there?
Well, one of them is Saudi Wadi. Saudi Wadi, the,
You read it bad.
But there's smaller names there.
oh,
I
that's
can't-
their name, just, well, what I see is S10. Jesus Betancourt, Kristen, Abby, Dandy Stevens, John's iPhone,
Oh,
Holly
okay.
Byron,
So that's
Saudi
just-
Wadi, the, I don't know.
And
Cindy-
then
It's-
larger name you're looking at, sir?
It's their name, John,
Oh,
but whether it's
that's-
muted
that's
or not
what I
muted.
We have a Cynthia Juarez and an Annie on there. I think I got them all.
Cynthia lives in the new.
Yeah, I know her. I went to work with her the other day. Hello, everybody. So moving on. We're gonna move to our consent calendar. A, minutes of the June 13th, 2022 work session. We cancel B. Moving to C, bill list for July 1st through July 26th, 2022. And D, treasury report for period ending July 26th, 2022. Requested action. Motion to approve the August 4th, 2022 consent calendar as presented minus item B, minutes of the July 7th, 2022 regular session. Can I get a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 4th, 2022 consent calendar as
I
presented.
second.
Okay.
without item B. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Hi.
Ayes have it, the motion carries. Oh, item 7, can Dave and Jeannie, come up? Jean, Mr. and Mrs. Clemens, could you come up, please? Thank you for being here tonight. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Council President Nikki Wagner that you've worked with for years.
Being Vicky, I wonder what you got me into now.
Trouble. But that's only because you talk. Yeah. So anybody who's ever been to one of our Jervis winter festivals knows that we've always had Santa and his elf. Well, they are leaving us. They are going on a quest for God. And so when I found out they were leaving, I was really sad because even after heart surgeries and not feeling well and knee issues and arm issues, they still came out because they still want to make the kids smile. So I talked to our mayor. Well, we would like to present this to you. And it has this. Yes.
very, very nice.
Thank you.
And this is also.
Somebody take a picture.
But can you get a picture together? Do you want to come down and get it?
Yeah, we will. Let me get a picture of them.
That's worth it. That would be so good.
Yes.
Okay, where are we going?
Right there, let's go.
Oh,
You guys
like
hold your
this.
goodies in front of
Hold
you.
that up.
I'm gonna hide.
Okay, not behind the picture. Thank you.
I'm hiding.
It's like a lot of
Yes, I
people want
see
to take
that.
pictures. I'll take one.
Oh, I want to.
I sat on his lap.
So did I.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you. And you'll.
I think they want, some more people want pictures.
I do want to tell you all that their Santa,
I'll take it closer to that.
Santa did something that my husband's grandfather did. He is passing the torch on to a member in our community, and I won't say who because we don't want to do that. But you will be missed. We do. I mean, you're almost going to make me cry because you guys have always given up your time. Even if I called you and said, "Hey, we just decided to do the winter festival," you guys were right there, right after your open heart surgery. So thank you guys so much.
We're gonna travel and pray for people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It does
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
means a lot.
Next we have presentations. A, next steps, building a partnership for the betterment of the entire community, Jervis School Board members. Hi, Ms. Contreras.
I just want to thank the city council for letting me speak tonight. My name is Anna Contreras. I live in Jervis and I've been part of the community for more than 20 years. Tonight, I would like to address the council as a community member, a parent, and actually as part of the Jervis School Board. I'm here to ask the council to partner and support the Jervis School Board. We are two of the biggest employers in Jervis, and it's important for us to work together to successfully improve our schools and our town, or our towns. This past May, the Jervis School District asked the community to consider a bond measure for $35 million to renew and expand our aging facilities. It's been 30 years since a school bond has passed in this district. That's a long time. Although the bond didn't pass this time, the board will continue to consider, or we're going to consider pursuing this course of action. So we're still moving forward. The main reason that the board is in favor of the bond is really the safety and security of our students. I want to share a quick timeline of the pre-bond planning process that the district used. We received a grant that paid for an independent facilities assessment of our 3 school buildings, 3, okay, which is required in order to apply for the state of Oregon grant of $4 million, which is what we were trying to do. This helped determine the status of our facilities and what it might cost to upgrade, rebuild, and replace. Safety and security of our students is important, and the environment matters where they're learning. Our schools are suffering from leaking roofs, an old HVAC system, plumbing issues, name it, it goes on and on. Under the proposal, the pre-bond committee, which was made up of teachers, administrators, parents, community members, business partners, they use that information to align our current priorities and values. And I know that everybody in Jervis cares about our students. And I know that everybody wants the best for them. But we are living in an underserved and disenfranchised town that's really struggling to address all the vast and ever-changing issues. The resources available within a community, they determine the extent to what it can support families with. And Jervis is a low-income community. And as such, it suffers because it doesn't have the necessary financial resources that so many other towns have. You can see the negative consequences in the effects of poverty that are felt both physically and emotionally, often resulting in destructive personal choices and increased crime. And we see that. The pandemic has further impacted many of the financial and health disparities that we find here all across the United States, but in Jervis, a lack of health insurance, accessing community health facilities, and feelings of isolation have compounded so many of these existing inequalities. Many outside factors influence how well a child is able to learn, okay? Family environment and socioeconomic status tend to influence academic achievement. And Jervis Public Schools were designed to ensure that all children receive access to free and comprehensive basic education. However, we are facing some serious obstacles right now, okay? While public schools are supposed to get funding regardless of their location, the reality is that doesn't always match the goal, okay? State funding for students can vary significantly, and poor schools like ours often get less money in state funds and grants than wealthy schools. And we see this, just look around, compare. Compounding this problem is that many children live in an unstable home or safe environment, and that interferes with students' abilities to learn. Furthermore, the lack of preparation for school means that the teachers spend an awful lot of time teaching students basic skills. So I just want to thank the council for listening. The second part of this presentation, I'm going to give to my colleague, Maria Contreras. Welcome, Maria. Hi, my name is Maria Contreras. I'm also, I've lived in Jervis for over 20 years. I've seen a lot of progress in that time. I understand that much of the charm that Jervis has is that it's relatively affordable to live here and that we are a close-knit community that looks out for each other. This is why it's important for all of us to work together to support our students. As people continue to seek affordable housing, Jervis is bound to see an increase in its population, especially families. The current migration issue at the border are also likely to affect our community in the intervening years as more people settle in Jervis. This doesn't even include the new Amazon building or new housing complexes that are being built in Jervis and Woodburn. We can't improve our school community our school or community if the school board and city council aren't working together. We're asking for your time, commitment, and support of our schools. In the past year, there has been many disagreements around how to proceed with the bond. The district tried to address these issues by providing multiple avenues for community involvement. We created a website dedicated to education and including information about how to become involved in the pre-bond planning committee and process, how the funds would be used if the bond passed, what additional projects would be included, the amount that other districts paid compared to what we asked Jervis residents to pay, a calculation method to determine how much the bond would affect residents' taxes. We also provided more than 9 videos detailing an overview of the bond, how to register to vote, how the district decided on the project, what grants we would receive to reduce the bond cost, market value versus assessed value, and so much more. This doesn't even include the tours or educational presentations at various locations, advertising, door knocking, and social media posts. I am aware that the bond created fierce division in the community, specifically because our request comes at a time when, as a nation, we're dealing with the pandemic, remote learning, high inflation, increased food and gas prices, and political division. It is unlikely that these things will be resolved quickly. Therefore, it's imperative to work together and ensure the success of our students. The longer we put off passing the school bond, the more it will likely cost all of us in the future, financially and otherwise. We urge you to work with us to find solutions to help protect and support students. We welcome you to contribute your ideas, research, connections, information, and other possible avenues of help. There are many opportunities to help advance the direction of this bond and become involved. We invite you to share your solutions and join us. If possible, we would like to get a commitment from at least 2 city council members to join our pre-bond planning committee and be involved in the process firsthand. Thank you to the city council for letting me speak tonight. I appreciate your guys' time.
Maria, thank you. Anna, thank you. I'd like to say that, what would you ladies think about us sitting down and starting a conversation? Because, you know, for some of us, we don't understand what time constraint, time issues that would be required, these committees you're talking about, things like that. So could we start with just making a meeting time for us to sit down? I mean, all of us.
Absolutely.
Why don't we start there,
Okay.
Maria? What do you think?
That would be great.
But I need, for me, I know we're all volunteers here. I'm gonna need like a sign up Genie thing that we could look at. I do have the ideas. I did hear you say about finances. I think as a city that we could tighten our belts up a little bit, maybe do something so we make things a little more affordable that could roll off to you. I mean, there's lots of ideas that I think.
Oh, absolutely. And we have lots of ideas too.
Okay, well, let's share them.
You know, so I think that that's what we should get together and do. I mean, we all want what's best for our students. We all want what's best for our community.
do.
Nobody here, everybody who hears that's involved wants what's very best for them. So, no, I think if Susie and Dandy can like throw out some dates,
That would be
hopefully we
fine.
could all get together.
A sign up Genie. I mean, because I work 40 hours a week. I know everyone here kind of does. And my health issues are behind me, so I have a little bit more time. I didn't have any time. So yeah, if we can get some dates, let's start with a conversation.
Absolutely. I
Okay,
would appreciate
would
that.
that be enough of a commitment?
And then
We can
I guess
talk.
I'm of the mentality of, yes, let's get together and then we can go to the next step of putting individuals on committees for we all understand where those numbers are coming from. Because I think that is extremely important and imperative to have that knowledge so we all are communicating on the same playing field.
Okay, well, no, thanks for coming in, but no, our kids do matter.
They do, absolutely.
So
So,
thank you.
and our city and our our community. So members do too. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Did you have something?
Yeah, is there a way, and I know before, I had talked with Chief and, I don't know if I spoke to you, Chief Fudge, or if it was Chief Iverson, about doing an actual walkthrough of the schools to kind of see where some of the issues are. Can we do that? Can we schedule that?
100%, yes. We can set it up with the admins. We were actually doing, we were doing tours. Like, so that exactly that was gonna, help people understand some of the issues that we were dealing with, how we were gonna address them. There is so much information on that webpage, really. I mean, 9 videos, you have the calculator. I mean, there was just a ton of outreach, including going even to the church or some other places and giving the presentation so that people felt included and that they could ask questions and get all of that, answered. Because the fact of the matter is that the numbers that we were given and the things that are happening, we were actually working with an outside consultant. And I mean, the board didn't just come up with these numbers, there's research, there's data, there's all kinds of things that are involved in that. And so that is a lovely idea. We would love to do that when we get together. Let's do an entire tour. That would be fabulous. I mean, and we could even show you some of those areas where we have the leaking roof. The roof is on its last leg,
Honestly, the elementary school.
and there's new leaks all the time.
Yeah.
And getting that alone is millions and millions of dollars to try and get fixed. So this is imperative. It's not gonna go away. And it's been there for a really long time. And so we just really have to address and try to find the best way that we can for our students. But we all need to come together as a community. I hate seeing what's been happening. It just really has been hurts my heart. I've been here a really long time. We are absolutely 100% part of this community, have been for a really long time. And it is just a beautiful place. And I hate seeing such division. I know that we can all show much more kindness to each other.
And remember that the kids that are growing up here are the ones that are gonna be the future leaders here.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, we have to be good examples.
Okay, well, thanks, ladies. Okay, so, next is B, Dare Law Enforcement Executive of the Year. Suzie, would you like this one?
Sure, thank you. I mentioned to the council in June that our own Chief Mark Chase was the recipient of the Dare Law Enforcement Executive of the Year. I didn't have the official award. He was presented with this award in a virtual conference, so quote unquote presented. They did mail him the award, so I wanted to take the opportunity this council meeting to officially present it to him and to thank him for his service to the city of Jervis and to law enforcement in general. He's been in law enforcement for over 40 years, and I think he's had an exceptional career. So with that, I do have the nomination letter that Craig Seibel and I submitted jointly to DARE to nominate him. So I will read that aloud. On behalf of the city of Jervis, the Jervis Police Department, and the Jervis School District, we wish to nominate Chief Mark Chase for the DARE Law Enforcement Executive of the Year. Chief Mark Chase has worked in law enforcement for more than 30 years. I think I said 40, but give or take 10 years. During this time, he has served with honor in multiple police agencies, including Dallas, Salem, Junction City, and here in Jervis. While his career is remarkable, it's what he's done for DARE that warrants praise and recognition. Chief Mark Chase has championed the DARE program throughout our state. When a local police department was cutting the program, he saw that as an opportunity to bring DARE to our community. Mark actively recruited an experienced DARE officer for the job and didn't stop there. Chief Chase also ensured his DARE officer would be the state DARE training coordinator. Mark sent the coordinator during his very first week of employment to the Oregon School Resource Officers Annual Conference to promote the DARE program. Chief Mark Chase moved swiftly and decisively, starting DARE in our community. This included the Jervis Elementary School and Sacred Heart Catholic School. He continued to meet with community leaders, such as the mayor, city council, and others, to encourage the advancement of DARE in our city, county, and state. Chief Mark Chase distinguished himself through the statewide promotion of DARE officer training. The Jervis Police Department co-hosted this class at the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. Last year, the Police Academy campus closed due to COVID-19. Mark ensured training would continue by hosting another department, or DOT. Department of Transportation.
Your officer training.
DARE officer training, sorry, at a nearby hotel. Chief Mark Chase actively advertised his training and personally reached out to county sheriffs and chiefs of police throughout Oregon. As a result of his commitment, 11 new agencies all signed up to start a DARE program with their communities. They include the Coos Bay Police Department, Grants Pass Department of Public Safety, Madras Police Department, Marion County Sheriff's Office, Reedsport Police Department, Sweet Home Police Department, Tualatin Police Department, Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, and more. Chief Mark Chase continues to work with our superintendent, principals, teachers, and parents. During the second half of the school year, he spearheaded the implementation of DARE in our middle school. We're also delivering the new enhancement lesson on vaping. Finally, we have plans to expand DARE into the high school next year. This would make Jervis the only city or town in Oregon to offer all three programs, elementary, middle, and high school, and provide multiple years of intervention to children and families in need. Furthermore, there's so much discussion about police legitimacy and procedural justice these days that our country needs to know what DARE is doing behind the scenes. According to Chief Mark Chase, and I'm quoting, "The DARE program has changed so much and is growing. I truly believe if police agencies want to make a difference and be seen as legitimate in their community, implementing and adopting the DARE program is a must." Mark Chase exemplifies what every law enforcement executive can and should be. He consistently demonstrates leadership by example and understands the needs of our community. Chief Chase is a true champion of DARE, and we respectfully request he be considered for this distinguished award. So with that, I would like to present him officially with his award.
Don't try to hide. Pictures, smile. Say pot,
See what?
pot. Pot, yes, it's right, no, pot. Why, what do you tell kids now about that?
What do we tell kids about pot?
About marijuana?
It's very, very challenging because Measure 110 has made a lot of drugs illegal.
I know.
And you see the impacts of that statewide. And I can talk to not politics, but I can talk to facts. And in fact, Rochelle, our resident, has been and the neighborhood over there has been a victim, I would say, of the broken system with drugs in our state and homeless and mental health issues. And we're seeing an increase of that being affected here in Jervis. And
So you're teaching the kids that it's long-term,
long term, yes, that
that
they
it
have
makes them,
they have choices, and those choices have consequences. And we all make mistakes. Their parents make mistakes. They can make mistakes, but these are the long-term consequences of if you choose the life of drugs, and then how that can affect you even later on in your adult life. And I could go on a little bit. but
that's
I-
okay.
you know.
I just want to know this for later.
But I will say this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
I think Danny's on there, and I would just like to say, a few things, if that's okay. I'll come up here to the podium. This would have been made possible. We've got two school board members here today, and this is exactly what that they're talking about. That's what I love about this community. That's what we have, an amazing police department right now. We've got amazing school teachers, but this wouldn't have been possible. I believe it would have been for our previous mayor, Shante Plott, our current mayor, Annie Gillen, and your support, as well as the previous council, which included Michael Gregory, as well as Wes Leyva, supporting this, and you as a current council. Danny Stevens, it would not have been made possible if Danny Stevens, who's a tough sell. She's a very intelligent, articulate person that looks at research, looks at evidence-based programs, and DARE got a lot of criticism a long time ago, but they use educators, they have a scientific board, they have a youth board, and they have done a 3-year study to show and prove through research, is this program effective? And I could go on about those results, but bottom line is the new curriculum, DARE, Keeping It Real, is evidence-based and has been shown to be the most effective law enforcement-led program in the world, and is now taught in over 56 countries. And we are going to be a leader here because of the school board, because of Danny, because of you, that we have taught 3 years. Now, every one of the middle schoolers that is attending the middle school will get the curriculum at middle school level. And then as that progresses and they go into the high school, our hope is that we'll also be teaching them in the high school. So the evidence of elementary, middle, and high school will be implemented over the years here in Jervis. And we hopefully will be an example of that. And yes, there's crime. Yes, there are problems here. But relatively, if you look to our north or look to our south, we're really safe. And I know we have some problems. And Griselle, I'm sorry about what you had to deal with in that 911 call, and that it wasn't right. And we're looking into that. And we want to have a livable community. And there are issues like that.
Sorry, it's the approach from officials such as yourself. That's how do you respond to us as citizens? You respond to me the same way you would respond to Doug, who is a known convicted drug dealer.
Yeah, it's not appropriate for me to talk about your neighbor and his past.
Yeah, no,
There's
that's fine.
issues there.
That's fine,
So,
but we.
If I could, Mayor, just finish.
We both get treated the same, so I want that to be known.
Crystal, thank you. Go ahead.
So anyway, we want to work with everybody to make a very, very safe community so they feel comfortable in all areas of the city and be level. So I just want to say thank you. I couldn't have done this without all of you, and I appreciate your support and moving forward with the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Now something about this DARE. I'm going to share something really personal with everybody here and anybody watching. And I don't usually do this. People that know me really well. I do support DARE, and I am very strong on marijuana is a bad thing. I lost my sister in 2009, my only sister, to a heroin overdose. It started with her smoking marijuana. I am a strong advocate for DARE. If our kids can be detoured, it is a gateway drug, and it's real personally. So thank you for doing such a good job, you and the officers. I appreciate it because you're saving a child's life. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a community. It really has.
Yeah,
Officers and everybody.
And thank you.
And thank you for the nomination. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So we're going to move on to our public hearing. Before I forget, Anna, Maria, would you like to come out to the neighborhood party to meet the new people in Ivy Woods and let them know about the resources?
Yeah, that's the 12th, right?
The 12th at 5.
Yeah.
And maybe
yeah,
bring-
she's gonna be traveling, but I will go.
And maybe bring Dandy or some,
Oh,
if they would like to come. That way people know who they are.
That's
Would-
great, yeah.
Would that be okay for some?
That's perfect for me.
Okay.
Anytime. Would you give us the date next time?
It's the 12th at 5 p.m. Thanks, sorry for all that, but we're gonna go into the public hearing. It's kind of different. So I'm still new at this. We don't do enough. A vacation 2021-02 public alley vacation block 68 of Jervis plat bound by 7th Street, 8th Street, Hemlock Avenue, and Ivy Bowman. Good evening. My name is Annie Gillen. I am the mayor of the city of Jervis, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is a time and place set for the public hearing in the matter of file number BAC 2021-02 petition to vacate the public alley in the block 68 of Jervis. This hearing is now open. It is 7:51 p.m. Oregon land use law requires several items to be read into the record. At the beginning of every public record, the city planner will review this material. Your patience is appreciated as she goes through these statements. Our city planner, I'll hand it over to you, Holly Byram. Thank you for being here, Holly.
Thank you, Mayor. Congrats, Chief. For the record, Holly Byram, Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. Bear with me here. The applicable substantive criteria upon which this case will be decided are found in the Oregon Revised Statutes 271.080 through 271.230. The specific criteria are summarized in the staff report and will be reviewed at this hearing. All testimony and evidence received during this public hearing must be directed toward these approval criteria or to such other rule, law, regulation, or policy which you believe to apply to this case. An issue which may be the basis for an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals shall be raised no later than the close of the record at or following the final evidentiary hearing on this case. Such issues shall be raised with and accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford this body and the parties to this hearing an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. This case will proceed with the staff report and any other comments from governmental agencies that are in attendance, followed by all of those who are in support of the application. All of those opposed to the application will then be allowed to speak, followed by those with general comments who are neither for nor against the application. Finally, the applicant will be entitled to a rebuttal period, including any questions this body may have of staff or the applicant. All speakers should try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please submit a speaker card completed with your name, physical address, and mailing address directly to City Manager Susie Marston. Please try to avoid repetition. If someone else has already expressed the same thoughts, it's perfectly all right to state that you agree with the statements of that previous speaker. Please be assured that everyone will have an opportunity to speak. If you have documents, maps, or letters that you wish to have considered by this body, they must be formally placed in the record of this proceeding. To do that, either before or after you speak, please leave the material with Susie Marston, who will make sure your evidence is properly taken care of. Prior to the conclusion of the first hearing on a land use application, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, it will be up to this body to determine if the hearing will be continued to a time and date certain, or if the record will be kept open for submission of additional evidence or testimony. If the record is kept open, it will be for a minimum of 7 days, with a short rebuttal period thereafter afforded to the applicant.
To ex parte contact or declaration of conflict of interest. With that okay, so do anybody on council have to make an ex parte contact or declaration of conflict of interest? I don't.
No.
No. Okay, that out of the way, I need to ask the audience and fellow councilors a few questions. 1, does any member of the audience have an objection to the notice that was published? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, not hearing any. 2, does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the city council to hear this matter? 3, does any member of the city council wish to declare a potential actual conflict of interest or bias? No. Does any member of the city council wish to report any site visits or ex parte contacts? No. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the impartiality or ex parte disclosures of any member of the city council? We didn't have it, so. Okay, next I'll ask Holly to do the staff report.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so the council should have a staff report in front of them. Again, this is a public hearing for an alley vacation. And while a vacation sounds nice right about now, this kind of a vacation is about the city giving up jurisdiction of a public right-of-way. And there's a certain procedure that you need to follow to do that. And in this case, the city council is responding to a petition that they received from a private property owner requesting this alley vacation. Jervis has processed a few of these in the last couple years. And so each time we follow the procedures that are detailed in the Oregon revised statutes. And we have a very brief staff report. I'll go through that briefly here for you. Again, the alley that we're talking about is in, it's called Block 68 of Jervis, and that's bound by 7th, 8th, Hemlock, and Ivy. And this is currently an unimproved alley. It is not paved. None of the adjacent property owners take access off of this alley. And when you process an alley vacation, there are certain steps that you need to go through. The first is that you need to receive signatures or approval from 100% of the abutting property owners, and you have received that. That was the first step. And then after that, the property owners who sign this petition need to go out and sign or collect signatures from the affected area, which is reaching out several blocks in each direction of that alley. And so the petitioner has also done that. In this case, the city council needs to make a couple findings. The first one is whether or not they have all the signatures, and staff has checked that they do. The next one is whether or not we have duly noticed this public hearing, and staff has confirmed that we did. What that means is that we put a notice in the newspaper for the past 2 weeks. City staff posted a notice on the property, and then neighbors within 100 feet received a mailing. And then the last thing the city council needs to confirm is whether or not the public interest will be prejudiced by the vacation. And so in this case, what we typically do is we reach out to all the different city departments and agencies and utility providers to determine if there are any utilities in that alley. In this case, we determined that there is no water, no sewer, no stormwater, no telephone or fiber, no natural gas, and no power lines running through that alley. And in past alley vacations, the city has reserved an easement for the potential to run utilities through that alley. But in this case, the infrastructure in this area is already well established, and the city engineer and public works didn't think it would be necessary to reserve an easement here for future utilities. So in this case, it's pretty straightforward. None of staff had concerns about this application. Staff supports the applicant's petition to vacate this alley. There are a couple recommended conditions of approval, and those are just procedural in nature, and it's the same thing that we've done for the past few alley vacations. And that is that if the city council approves this alley vacation, the property owner would then be responsible for taking an ordinance to the county and having it recorded to make it official. And then that would be on their dime, at their expense. So in that staff report at the bottom of page 5 is the recommended motion for the city council. And that is to be after you take any testimony from anyone who is interested. So that concludes my staff report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or after testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Are there any questions of staff from the council before we continue and accept public testimony? Did it look good to you? Susie, did it look good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
It's been an issue in that alley for a long time, and the neighbors have used it, we've got a bunch of other issues. And the way this is done, the way Scott has proceeded with it, with some of the conversations we have, it's actually a great example of how others could be done. So I appreciate his effort, what he's gone through.
All right. So proponent's presentation, let's see. I will now accept public testimony regarding this case. Is there anyone who would like to speak to support of the application?
Well, I'd just like to say that it hasn't been used as an alley. I don't think there's any future. There's trees, huge trees down at it, and every bit like 3/4 of the people have already been using it.
Okay,
It's part of their property.
pretty typical in
Yeah.
Jervis that happened. in
And
Nebraska.
the end of Hemlock is the dead end, that new house is looking over our house.
Okay.
I don't think it's going.
All right, anybody else? Not hearing, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, well, I'm gonna move on then. There was no testimony really except for Mr. Michelson's. Would the applicant or any other proponent like to respond to any of the testimony, any comments, any responses? I really don't, except that it's pretty typical, these alleys, and it's nice that someone can make use of them. That's my thoughts. Anybody else? Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak neither for nor against the application? Moving on, would the council like staff to address any of the testimony? Okay, city planner Holly Byram, please give the staff summary. Holly?
In case it's good information for the council, just as a reminder, when the city vacates the alley, in this case, it's 20 feet by 200 feet, the alley right-of-way gets split down the middle, and then those pieces of alley get attached to the abutting properties, and so they become a part of those private properties next to it. And so procedurally, that's what happens through that enacting ordinance.
Is that it? Is there anyone who would like to request a continuance of this public hearing? Okay, before I close or continue the public hearing, are there any additional questions from the councilors or staff or anyone? As a reminder, once I close the hearing, only councilors or staff may speak. So now it's time for council discussion. Do you guys have anything you would like to talk about?
We need to close the hearing.
Do I close out first? Oh, okay. Public testimony is now closed. I will close the public hearing at 8:04 p.m. I will now entertain discussion or application and on the motion. And I think you guys already said no. So now I need council to make the motion that's on the previous page, please.
I move to approve the vacation of the 20-foot wide by 200-foot long public alley located within block 68 of the Jervis Town Plat. Adopt the findings and recommended conditions of approval presented in the staff report and direct staff to present an enacting ordinance.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Not hearing anyone? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. So I believe that's it. Congratulations, Mr. Michelson. You have an alley, so your neighbors.
If you put in a garden now, we expect some fresh fruit.
You know, those quid pro quo kickbacks.
You know, just kidding.
I know she's not.
Okay, Mayor says I'm not. So I'm not.
So, next is our activity tracker. I think I already asked Susie about the question. I want to know about that ordinance. Is there anybody else that wants to talk about any of the tractor stuff that's going on? John, do you have anything tonight?
I just have one question for John. That information you were gonna get me from those,
John, could you speak into the microphone, please?
I thought I would.
I'd like to get your full lunch for it. Because
Okay, we didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
I'll say it again. I was asking him about the speed signs that we have up, and I wanted some information from that. He says he's gonna get it and he will give us a full month's worth.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is the speed, I do have a question though about that 20 miles an hour. I've never seen a 20-mile-an-hour speed sign. Is that what you were asking? Because I don't know where they're posted. Back by that. I've been thinking about
No,
what.
no, I'm talking about the ones that tell you how fast you're going. When you come into town, there's 4 of them. And that's the one I was wanting to get the information.
Okay. My next question is about the park lights. Where we're at with that.
I'm still waiting on a bid. I
Okay.
have to get 3 bids now, and it's a slow process. It's
Okay.
getting the people to come out.
Just-
There's a lot of companies don't service the Jervis area. So it makes it even more difficult to get 3 bids so we can be competitive on how much money.
Okay. Do you take the low bid or is it a hard bid or?
Technically, state law requires you take the low bid. I don't think it should be that way.
Well,
But
no, invite would be better because then you know it's quality work.
yeah, but low bid normally gets the work.
Okay, just curiosity there.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the tracker? Okay, go ahead.
Susie, have we heard anything more about the Sam Brown house?
John was the last to be in contact with the owner. It's been some time. We just, I guess, kind of lost contact with him.
It kind of boils down to money.
Yeah.
Who has the money to move it? Last bid I think he got was over $70,000 just to move it from its present location to a piece of property on Douglas.
Do you know if he's tried to reach out to the Oregon Historical Society?
He has, but I don't know if he's been successful. I spoke with one of the gentlemen that's on the Settlemyre House, French Prairie Committee, and you would think they would be able to get money. And he goes, grant money for those old homes is very difficult to get.
Well, on that Sam Brown house too, if the back part comes with it, it keeps it from being historical, right? But if it only comes as the front part, then it's not really usable for anything because there's not enough square footage, someone said. Is that correct?
The back of the property was added on with a shed type structure,
Mm-hmm,
so that would not be moved with it.
okay,
Because it's not really the original part of the house. So it doesn't take it away from its historical value, 'cause
Okay.
it's already there. It's just the fact that, you know, some historical homes, if they don't get moved, get taken care of, they get to the point where they disappear.
okay, one more question about it. If Jervis acquires it, putting like a coffee shop or something that makes money, is that even legal? I heard somebody say something about making it into a coffee shop. I think that these homes would be a more of a nonprofit thing, wouldn't they? And how would that happen? I mean, that's not something that we could look at. Or is it?
Well, yeah, I think that's quite a ways down the road, but, you know, the property that we're looking to set it on would need to be rezoned. So as long as it's rezoned appropriately, then it would be okay to have a coffee shop or a little cafe if it can be set up that way.
So the city could make money on something like that, or would it go toward like upkeep and things? Is that?
Possibly, I mean, it just depends on what the council decides they want to do with it. But I think that's a little ways down the road. I mean, it's possible.
Well, it's something to think about when we think about spending money to bring it here. What could be done with it? I think I would look at that honestly first. As, you know, how is that going to be sustainable so it doesn't drain us? you know, to make it.
Yeah,
or make
it's,
it move for it.
there's gonna be a lot of money tied up into it to move it, and plus it just really needs an overhaul on the outside, a new roof, siding, paint. The inside of it is actually in pretty good shape considering the age of it and sitting vacant so long. The owner took us through it, well, it was before COVID, I think, a couple years ago. And it was pretty impressive. So,
Okay.
yeah, just a matter of getting back in touch with the owner and finding the funds to take care of it.
See, that's what I'm thinking. How could we make it sustainable or sustain itself?
We also talked about trying to put some of the memorabilia from when it first became a city. And there's a lot of that stuff in Brooks when they did Jervis Day, the Jervis Historical Day back 5 years ago, I think it was. Brian and I went down and there was so much stuff that I didn't know about Jervis that could be brought into put up to and try to maybe do.
If they give it, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, she's already said she would give it.
So you have a confirmation on that?
Yes.
It's a good thing. It's like a little museum type coffee shop. I'm thinking many have to take care of it. Okay, so I want to move this meeting along. The next thing is action items. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. See, am I reading those individually?
Yes.
A, ordinance number 22-003, an ordinance vacating the 20-foot wide public alley with block 68 of the Jervis Town plat bound by 7th Street, 8th Street, Hemlock Avenue, and Ivy Avenue. Can we get a motion on that? Or any questions, discussion?
So this is the enacting ordinance for the public hearing we just had.
Yeah.
It solidifies the alley vacation. Once the council approves it, signatures are obtained and the applicants take it to the county to get recorded.
Okay, that's, I can read that one. So a motion, please.
And you want us to read A through E? All of it.
Oh, you want me to do
No,
it?
you only have to read the title.
All right.
Just A.
Just A. All right, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 22-003, an ordinance vacating the 20-foot wide public alley within block 68 of the Jervis Town plat, bound by 7th Street and 8th Street, Hemlock Avenue and Ivy Avenue.
I'll second that.
Or any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. B, 911 emergency services agreement.
Yeah, we could continue that to the next meeting. We were expecting some information back from Willamette Valley Communications regarding some amendment changes that affect police operations. So we did not receive that back yet and have not had that discussion. So we're waiting for that information. So we'll push it off till September.
Okay, anybody have a disagreement with that? I say go. Consensus is we move it. C, approve contract for services with Grove Mueller Swank PC to conduct FYI 2021-22 annual audit. I do have a question about this. How many years have we used them, Susie?
We've used Grove Mueller and Swain for at least the last 14 years since I've been on board. We did solicit for a request for proposals 4 years ago. And I did send it out to a lot of different accounting firms. And Grove Mueller and Swain was the only firm to reply to that. So at the time, the city contracted with them for 3 years. The 3 years was up last year. They had an option to extend it 2 more years. So I guess this is in their first of 2 years of that extension.
So how much more time would we be obligated then? I'm trying to, for
Well,
another year?
Yeah, it's year by year right now. So if
Okay.
the council wanted me to go out for another RFP, I can do that before next year.
Yeah, I think that we need to use them, but because it's recommended to change it up ever so often, just so there's no complacency, they're a great firm. I'm not saying that, but they get comfortable and Fresh eyes are always good and it is highly recommended. Would you guys like to do that for next year? Because I think that's important for her to try to find. And you know, you can always bring them back, but it does need to be changed up. It's highly recommended.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a good practice.
Could you help me understand who says it's highly recommended?
All businesses do it, audit firms, attorney's office, the place I work for, when we do it, and we do the independence like this. And the state recommends it. It's online. I mean, you should change these things. I think they said every 3 to 5 years. Yeah, don't quote me, but I believe that's it. So it happens in the private sector as well as the government. Thank you. Mhm. So that being said, can I get a motion to approve it for this year?
I'll make a motion to approve contract for services with Grove, Mueller and Swank PC to conduct FY
This
20,
fiscal year.
yeah, thank you, 2021 and 2022 annual audit.
Second it, and then do we need to do a step further to go ahead and ask Susie to go ahead and put that out for?
Request for proposal.
I think we do.
Let's do that.
Well,
Do we need a motion for that?
I don't think we need a motion for that. All we need, I think, is a consensus on that one, because this is only like for a year, right?
Yeah.
So,
So I'll do the consensus after we do this motion. So we've had a motion. Did I get a second?
Yes, I seconded it.
Okay, was any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. Diana, that aye for you? Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so D is to accept audit engagement letter from Grove, Mueller, Swank, and PC. I thought it looked fine. Anybody else? So I'll need a motion.
So I'll make a motion to accept audit engagement letter from Grove, Mueller and Swain PC.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries. E is the intent to award bid for street projects. Everybody read on that? Everybody good? Any questions? So, can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion of intent to award bid for street project.
Can you state the amount to award it?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you give us the amount offhand?
Towards the end of the memo from Tetra Tech in the packet, there's an amount, $667,573.
$657,000.
$667,573.
573,
Yeah.
667, 573.
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to, with the intent to award bid of $667,573 bid for street projects.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it, the motion carries. Now I will ask for that consensus that we have Susie go out for a RFP, request for proposal, from other auditors for our annual audit next year. Can I get a
good
consensus?
with that?
That's-
Yes.
Yep,
Diana?
that's good.
Okay, so the consensus is we would like you to do that, Susie, thank you. New business ballot for 2023 legislative priorities due August 5th. Questions? Susie, you want to break that down a little bit for me, just brief? Kind of.
So in your packet, there's material provided by League of Oregon Cities. Just as background on every even numbered year, the LOC, they've got a lobby team that lobbies on behalf of cities. So basically what this is a list of legislative priorities that they're sending out to all of their member cities. And they're asking each city to vote on what's important, the top 5 that are important to you guys as well as everybody else. And so they get 5 from every city, collect it back at the League of Oregon Cities and compile it from there. And then they start lobbying on what's important to the cities. So tonight, the council needs to decide on your top 5. I do have to get this back in, and I'm sorry for the short notice. I think it was given out a little late. But anyway, regardless, I do need to respond by tomorrow at 5 p.m. So
So
And
is
it's done online.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So want to give us a rundown on what do you guys think on that? John, do you have any comment?
Well, like Susie says, it's a very short time frame on that. I have no answers for it. How can they put things up in times so short?
Is Jim McCollum still the director? Or is he?
Jim McCauley is, yeah, he's not the director of the league. He is one of the head lobby people.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Staff, what do you guys think is important?
I mean, the top ones always seem to be property tax reform, services around mental health, homeless issues is a big one. Affordable housing, things like that. Those seem to be the top ones.
Well, for me, it would be tax reform.
I'm noticing the water utility rate and fund assistance thing on there too. That might be something that we need to get behind.
That tends to be a hot one as well.
What was that?
I couldn't make out what you said, Diana.
It's the one about infrastructure and planning investment. It's on page 8 of the
Oh,
LLC
yeah, I
report.
saw that. Well, it's been a hot topic around here.
And cybersecurity is also important.
Yes. I talked to IT the other day. Nikki, do you have a favorite? How about you, Pam?
So on page 2, both the local funding to address homelessness and the infrastructure funding to support needed housing. And I also on page 3, like the protecting public employees and officials, there's been a lot of information on the news lately about the discovery of people that are in office and the challenges that come with that. On page 9, there's transportation and safety enhancement.
Sorry.
Which, you know, we talk about all the time in our city about the transportation, the lack of transportation availability. So those are just a few of the ones that I had looked at.
I thought it would be self-serving if I said that about the public official. I was not laughing at you. I was laughing at my current situation, so.
Oh,
I
didn't notice
apologize
you
if,
laughing
yeah,
at all.
that was.
I'm aware that it's been also in the public news.
Oh, yeah,
every citizen.
definitely.
So it's a concern to protect all of our privacy for those that have become elected officials.
Yes, see, that's important to me, very much so.
So those are some of my suggestions that I reviewed.
Well, I like that, and I did like your, what was the last one you said? The transportation. I think transportation.
The transportation, because we've talked about that before as a council.
I like that, Pam.
So those were the ones that there are 32 roughly to look at. So those are the ones that I thought were most relevant to us that we've talked about before.
Yeah. So what we have for a recap, I'll go backwards, is transportation, public officials being protected, their private information. Housing, water bill thing, which I really like because that's a topic that we need to deal with.
And then there's
So,
property tax reform.
yeah, the
page 5,
taxes, the property tax thing.
And then transportation is on page 9, but certainly it's open to a wide variety of discussion. Those are the ones that I've done.
Yeah. Any of my people out here have one that you've heard tonight that you think is important to you? Just brief, you just name what it is. Rochelle?
It just kind of reminds me of that judge whose son was killed. I mean,
Yes.
definitely the public officials, all you guys, all of us need to be protected from
Yes.
insane people.
Yeah.
So,
Remember the threats I
first came on council.
You ain't had dirty diapers in your yard, come on. Let's see, I do like that one, you guys, if it's not too selfish of me.
I don't think it's a position of selfishness. I think that we all have that right to be protected as civil servants. All of us.
Okay, so I like that one, there's one, Susie.
Property tax,
Property tax, if you guys are agreeing with.
The transportation,
housing, talk about housing.
the transportation safety enhancement, I think a lot of our residents have talked about, you know, the speed signs and all of that. I think that's a good one because they work in connect with cities to try and find out what they can do to assist. That could be beneficial to us.
Okay, does anybody disagree with any of that? I don't. So that's 4,
That's for,
we need one more.
the last one I heard was water rates, the one,
That would be good.
Certainly that would be.
Yeah, so is that 5, Susie?
Yep, so I will report on your behalf, the housing issue, public official protection, transportation, water rates, and property tax. I'll get that in tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, and thank you. I like participation. I invite people so that we can hear from them. Discussion about measure 109, psilocybin mushrooms, LSD. I'm gonna start this conversation. I don't want it anywhere near our city. I don't know what we choose, which elective thing we do to keep it out of here. I'm not sure. I think that DARE has been really successful here, and I think it would be counterproductive to allow something like that to happen here.
I think it's important to start the conversation by letting you know, I talked to our city attorney about it, and she's the one who prepared this memo. But state law already prohibits locating a service center within residential zones of an incorporated city or within 1,000 feet of school. In addition, state law prohibits the manufacturing of psilocybin products outdoors. So by the nature of the city of Jervis, primarily we are residential, and the rest of the commercial and industrial properties are within 1,000 feet of the schools. This process that we're looking at now is similar to what we had to deal with when marijuana was made legal. And so we know that those commercial and industrial properties are within 1,000 feet of the school from assessing it back then.
Okay.
So yes, the city would have options to look at putting a ballot title on the November ballot. You can put a moratorium in place or set time, manner, and place restrictions. But because state law pretty much has us covered, you really don't need any action.
So we don't need to do anything to cover ourselves. Oh, good. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
How about all of you? Yeah.
Are we still getting some of the marijuana?
Yes.
We are.
Anyway, yeah, I wasn't here for that marijuana thing that happened. So I'm just glad to hear all that.
Yeah, what we did with the marijuana, the voters of Jervis actually did not prohibit marijuana operations in the city of Jervis, but the council set time, place, and manner restrictions through our development code, essentially, that wouldn't allow, it's the production, manufacturing, distribution, and processing within 1,000 feet of the schools.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. So now we move on to staff reports. Susie, I think you had one that you're just gonna give, right?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Last week was a bit of a train wreck. We all ended up getting sick, so. Anyway, I'll run through it real quick. I just want to let the council know that our annual audit is coming up at the end of the month. Denise is the key player in that, so she'll be tied up with that from now until then. Denise is also going to be attending the annual CIS conference. It's in Salem. She received a grant that CIS offers for her registration, so no cost to the city. If you'll recall, Chief Chase and I have been participating on the North Marion County Steering Committee for a natural hazard mitigation plan. We did wrap up those meetings. You will be seeing, it's a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan coming to you for review probably next month. All the cities who are participating are asked to review it. Once it's reviewed, it'll get sent to FEMA for their approval, because this is a FEMA funded project. So the end product will be a FEMA approved hazard mitigation plan for us, which in turn works as a great tool for us to obtain grants. And one of the examples that's named in that plan is the generator for City Hall. So basically just mitigation things for us to take care of in the event of just prepare for a natural disaster. Denise and I, we're gonna start looking at getting appointments for demonstrations for new websites. So we're gonna get through the audit first and then look and see what kind of new website we can move to. Other than that, it's the day-to-day. We've got 2 active ODOT grants for street projects. One set Safe Routes to School. I've got the ARPA grant from Marion County and also the FEMA tree farm. So that requires a lot of reporting and record keeping up with that. So I've been active doing that. And at the last meeting, the council wanted me to check with Gordon and the rate specialist, Deb Gallardi, on setting a floor and ceiling for the CPI. And I did receive comments back from both of them. Gordon's comments is that, using the CPI, how we've been using it is straightforward and it's dependable. Using a floor and a ceiling is a little more complex, and he indicated it has pros and cons. Just going on to say that there will be times when the adjustment is out of sync with the actual circumstances. So if the ceiling is set too low, it could be a long-term problem as the rates would fall behind where they need to be. And if the floor is set too high, then there could be a perceived equity question. Rates going up and there's no easily defendable reason. Having an appropriate ceiling is a buffer for citizens during inflationary times, particularly those dealing with fixed incomes. Having a floor allows the city to stay ahead of the game and perhaps do some catch up. So setting the floor and ceiling appropriately is important, and that may change with time. I think it would need to be revisited to make sure it is doing what it is intended. And Deb agreed with all of Gordon's comments and just offered in summary that basically using the CPI alone as we do now at a minimum, it's still not keeping up with the capital improvements that we need to look to. So I think what she is suggesting is it doesn't take into account other factors that require excess revenues, such as the capital improvements. So it does help us from falling behind and allows us to set funds aside to save up. So at a minimum, so that we can save at least for capital projects, it would be best to use the CPI without assigning a floor and a ceiling. So those are their comments.
I'd like to think about them for a little bit, maybe get back on that. So Susie and I will be meeting with Rosetta from Love Inc. And the service, I'll just tell you guys, the service that I'm most interested in is in our plans, on our website, it says that, to have people needing help with water bills, that it's, I don't know if it's suggesting we should or that we should have something in place. And so that was my hopes with her, is she set up some of these other accounts, you guys. What I want to ask her is if the council set aside, and this is an IE, an example, what if we set up $5,000 a year through Love Inc., where they decide if we have people that are in need, that they would be able to disperse that for us. I think that's one of the services they offer. But before I ask something like that at a meeting, I just wondered, is that something you guys might be interested in thinking about so that we have money alternatives for people that, like, say, have a death in the family or can't afford their bill 1 month, that, you know, it takes the pressure off of us because it's hard to decide, hey, one gets it, but one doesn't. But my thoughts are that when the money is depleted for the year, then we're out. You know, the funds are there, we decide on an amount, we budget it in, and then those funds could be dispersed to these people that need help, first come, first serve, need-based. But again, Loving would help us because they're a really good charity organization that deal with helping folks all the time. So that was my thoughts. I'm trying to give you guys my thoughts. Sometimes I don't do that. But I just think that with inflation and the hard times that people are falling on, I think we need to be able to somehow help these families in need the best we can. I mean, we can't afford a whole lot, I don't think, but does that make sense to anybody? Griselle, you have a comment?
I donate to Love Inc. as well.
Do
And
you?
I've worked with them before. So I was hoping that $5,000, maybe bump it up to $10,000 and offer gift cards for, like I said, if there's death in the family, or, you know, something's going on where the families need help, give them a $25 or two $25 gift cards would be good.
Well, we would have to discuss all that and it has to go on our budget. We're not a very rich community. And so, you know, the amount would be discussed is what, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, you know, that we help, but the water bill seems to be a hardship for people.
If the city can pledge 10,000, I'd like to offer another additional 1,000 for myself.
Well, thank you. We'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Go ahead.
Can I ask, I mean, I volunteer a lot with Burn Circ, and we do a lot of the food boxes and stuff with Aware and Love Inc. My question is this, and I have talked to a few people that are involved with both entities in regards to the fact that, like, for example, during the ice storm, we had to literally call them and get permission for our residents in a sister city to be able to go there and get stuff. They had listed Hubbard, Aurora, St. Paul, and Donald, but we were nowhere on
Is that Love
line.
Inc?
That is Love Inc.
Okay.
and Aware Food Bank.
Well,
So my
yeah.
question is, why can't we just put a fund in our own city and do it and have it available?
We could, but to get on their list, you have to partner with them. Nikki is the answer, I believe. I would have to ask that question. Maybe Susie, you can make a note of that. You know, they're going to give us what they offer, but I think that's a legitimate question. And yeah, that is something that we could think about doing. But then that puts our staff in a very vulnerable position. Nikki, I think it puts them in a position where they would be, oh, they didn't give this, you know, I think that we need to see exactly what they offer. I was just saying that is one thing I was going to specifically ask about. But yeah, we're not in their list because we're not their partner. Hubbard is.
Our CPT program is a nonprofit.
Yeah, well,
That
we
way
could
we're
visit
in
that.
the city.
Well, we
Keep it
could,
for our residents too.
but there's other services that they offer that CPT won't.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we could go either way with that. I'm not saying that, but I wanted to know what they would do with that, is my question.
And that's good.
So are
I just
you
wanna
guys
make sure.
okay with me asking that?
Yeah.
Okay, John, are you okay with that? Pam?
Yeah.
Diana? She may have.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. And
I'm good with
then I think what we're gonna ultimately do is ask her to maybe come present, Susie, do you think? See what they have and see if it's worth that.
Yeah, meet with her.
I know Hubbard, I talked with Charles, and he really likes their services. He's very pleased. Their city is very pleased with them. So I haven't gotten depth with that or anything, but I'd like to hear. So we are gonna meet with her on the 9th here at City Hall. Okay.
And just to clarify, I didn't mean to come across as not wanting that, but I just want to make sure that our citizens are taken care of.
Oh,
Because so
definitely.
many times we get left out. So
Well,
there are
that
a lot
goes
of people
to,
in need.
well, Love Inc. would definitely be there if we partner with them. So that would answer that question. Yeah. Okay. Chief, you're up.
Government report, There's some questions about feral cats and people living in trailers without giving any details. We're investigating and have cited some individuals for some ordinance violations that have been a problem. And in one particular case, it's been a problem over and over, and it gets better and it gets worse. And it's, again, something that you're kind of addressing with Love Inc. And so we try to be kind and compassionate when we're enforcing these things, but we do address them when we can. Sometimes it just takes a while, and it's tough because you know, your heart hurts for them because they're struggling, but at the same time, they're violating the ordinance. We want to put forward your philosophy of the council is ask the police department to work with people and help them along, and not be a monetary fine against them, but sometimes that's all that gets their attention and that work. So one individual has been cited for those cases. Another one regarding the living in trailer is under investigation, and a couple are, I believe, on probation with the court. So.
All right, thank you, fair enough. Was that everything?
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. I want you to know that sometimes we're doing things, but because it's such a small community, I like to be very careful about talking about people by name or by address. So there isn't that, you know, we're picking on them or somebody's saying something about them. And so the police department tries to remain neutral in all those things, but it's tough. And if there's ever an address or a case or something that you are interested in, I'm always happy to talk to you about it individually as well, so you know that we're taking care of business and proceeding with it. But I just don't like to be public about it, just because we are small.
That's why I didn't give you an address earlier.
Yes.
So, okay, well, fair enough. So John, Public Works.
You have my report, but last night or yesterday afternoon, about 2:30, we had another main leak in East Hemlock. Joe and Kyle did an excellent job. Unfortunately, the maps that we had, I didn't have the parts to fix it. So fortunately for us, Michael Krebs, who's the superintendent of Hubbard, I notified him. He found the part for me. I ran down there, we picked it up, we got it repaired. The downside is that development's about 30 years old, and those services were put in with, at the time, probably standard material, but substandard. So this is the second main leak you had in 6 months. And it's not the mains that are bad, but it's the service saddles that are rotting off the side of the main. So I spoke with Susie. We're gonna look at two options of putting together a monetary plan to go in and replace every service in that neighborhood. Or do we stockpile inventory for the times when they decide to let go? And it's unusual because that development was put in every meter box that's together. There's only one service saddle, so they split the service to each house. And most of those services where they split are under the sidewalk. So fortunately, the first time they had to pull a sidewalk panel to replace it. This time we were lucky enough, we didn't have to, which is good because the mailboxes were bolted to that cement slab. So that's and it's not going to be a cheap fix. It could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
John,
She had her hand up first, but I'll get
No
to
worries.
you. Go ahead, Nikki.
Quick question, because you know, I'm Hemlock.
Yes.
I live in Hemlock. Is that possibly part of the reason that the yards are literally like, our front yard was level and now it's sinking? Everything is.
I doubt that. I think a lot of times the ground in this valley, because my front yard does the same thing. When it's nice and dry, the ground basically shrinks, and then when the rains come, it kind of swells back up. But it never really comes back to where it was before. But so that's not the issue. The issue is it's just they're a single band saddle, and they're made out of basically pot metal almost, and they're rotting, and then they just let loose. So it starts to leak, water bubbles out of the ground. Fortunately, we caught it this time early enough, but you know, the next time could be a Sunday night at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's one of those things we have to look at to see that where the city, what direction they want to go, whether we replace all the services in that neighborhood, or do we do them as we can? So, but other than that, Joe and Kyle did an amazing job.
Yeah, I see Kyle out there on Zoom. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, John. I heard about that, so good job. Yeah.
So I just have a question. I know it was on the Jarvis community page, questions about when the water would be turned back on. I was wondering if if there's any type of opportunity to keep our community informed in the process, rather than them have to seek the answers to the community page about who's getting water, who's gonna come back on, and rather us be more proactive and say, we're on it, we're doing this, we'll update you or something so that the community has answers.
As far as public works, I notify City Hall that this is the service area that's gonna be out, and estimating time yesterday was very difficult because of parts issues and stuff. And so I don't know if somebody has we're out in the field, so it's not like we have access to.
I just think it would be really good if you notified City Hall, if something could be put up, even if they reached out to Diana to put it onto the community page, rather than even to take their time to do it. It'd just be nice to have the community informed, and rather than have them be fuddled about when is it happening and when are we having water.
To this, I'd like to speak. No matter what time he says, there's gonna be people like in the storm. I had no idea when PGE, Susie was working with them, Chief was working with them. I wasn't in contact with them because it wasn't my position. But no matter what we do or what we say, the minute we go past that hour, they're going to be hostile. They're going to be mean. I say, you know what, I'm sorry that it's like this, but I have very conflicted with experience now that you will get targeted, you will get, have problems with people who their expectation of you is unrealistic. So I worry about that.
So I'm not saying to give them a timeline or a definitive, but just some kind of communication. Yes, we're where the water is out. We are working on it, and that's the end of that. I don't think you can go wrong with communication. I think you could run into a risky business if you say it's over at 3 and it's not over till 6.
Yeah,
But I
you
just,
can run into trouble just in a general advocate, just in a general statement. That's why.
We just make the effort to contact the homeowners, their home, hey, we're gonna shut
Yeah,
your water
I
off.
like that.
We got a service leak, and it could be 2 to 3 hours, could be 4 hours.
No, I think your concept is good, but sometimes I think it's ill received. And no matter what you do, no one's gonna be happy. And they're still gonna get online.
shy away from trying to do open communication. Yeah, you're gonna win, you're gonna lose sometimes, but open communication can always be a positive thing in the community.
So when you were doing that house up the block, was it just that house's water that was shut off, or did you have to shut off?
No, we
all
had
of
to
them?
shut the main down from Black Walnut to about probably a couple hundred feet to the west before your home.
Okay.
And then luckily the rest of the development was looped, so they did not lose service. And then so we just knocked on the doors, we shut the services off, got the repair lead, flushed the mains, and then turned it back on.
Well, I hear what people are saying too. Thank you for that information. I've always offered my phone number to you guys for a text. I have people call me all hours, but I'm an insomniac and I work swing shift. So I don't have a problem if you shoot me a text. I can just say, hey, this is the latest update, blah, blah, blah on the site. So if you want to do that, feel free to use me. I'll put it up on social media, just what you tell me, with no specifics.
Okay.
No specific times or anything.
That, or how about the new website? Let's see if that could be a feature. Put it up on the city website and leave everybody personal belief out of it. Believe me, you don't want to go there.
We may have the capability of setting up like an email blast or,
Something like
reverse
that.
something like that.
Yeah, like the school has, where they can, I think I would do it through the city, but not the individual. Believe me, if you were in my shoes just one day, you would not feel the same way you do. I believe that with all my heart. Anyway, moving on to thank you, John and the guys for that. Appreciate it. Business from me and the council. Again, we're going to meet with Love Inc. I just want to thank everybody for coming in. And Rizal, I did see your hand.
Yes, if you do end up doing the website or anything to that effect, just from my personal experience in sales,
they say to under promise and over deliver, so therefore your customers are always happy.
Right.
So it's, you know, it might be between 1 and 5, maybe say 8 o'clock. So when it happens at 4, everybody's happy.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, council, anything? Okay, that being said, the meeting's adjourned at 8:51 PM. Thanks again for everyone coming. Oh, wait.